Good afternoon, everybody. So glad to see you all here. Happy Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month and happy International Women's Day. I'm Donna Meltzer, CEO of the National Association of Councils on Developmental Disabilities, NACDD, and I am so excited today in honor of both of these events to be able to have this wonderful conversation with Tameka Citchen-Spruce, who is a very accomplished woman. She is a film producer, screenwriter, disability justice advocate, mother, and woman with disabilities herself. So Tameka, I am so thrilled that you were able to take time today to have a little chat with me and to join with so many people as we celebrate two really important events today.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. So Tameka, and I do want to mention, we had an opportunity to meet briefly a couple of months ago because you've been doing some work with the Michigan DD Council. You are from Michigan yourself. And I just wanted to note that and make that connection and to thank Vendela Collins, who originally introduced us and brought you into the limelight with NACDD. So thanks for that. So as I said, you're incredibly accomplished. You know, your bio that you shared with me mentions two areas of advocacy that you are particularly passionate about. That's housing and voting. Tell me more about what you are doing around both of these issues and what you see as challenges or barriers and what successes you're seeing. Tell us about your work.
Yes, so with housing in particular, I've worked with, like over the years, with an organization called Warriors on Wheels, Metropolitan Detroit. And so through Warriors on Wheels, I've really worked on with the founder and executive director, Lisa Franklin, on making housing accessible and affordable for people with disabilities. Housing, finding accessible and affordable housing is, as everyone knows, is a tremendous challenge, particularly when you have a physical disability, use a wheelchair like myself, you know, finding housing in a safe area, but then also, you know, that's affordable. So it's there's many tremendous challenges. So I've worked with Lisa and the city of Detroit to do, like, you know, create more, what's the thing called Housing Trust Fund. So, you know, so when new city developers come to Detroit, that they need to, in order to receive funding, you know, there needs to be X amount of dollars, you know, or units for those with disabilities. So, you know, I worked on, you know, situations when it comes to that. Also with, particularly with voting, I've worked with Lisa, you know, at Words on Wheels and others with the city of Detroit to, you know, make sure they voting machines are working, especially like on election day, you know, prepping the city of Detroit, you know, for the elections for people with disabilities, because that is a tremendous barrier for a lot of people with disabilities is, you know, voting, particularly when it comes to voting machines and such. So, you know, there's, you know, many opportunities that, you know, I have been given to advocate around those issues.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Tameka. You're so right. There's so many issues that are really important for people with disabilities, and voting and making sure that we all have safe housing, affordable housing, all so important. You know, I want to actually back up for a moment and ask you, as I'm thinking about, you know, you chose these as two areas of your passion, but what was your path? How did you really get to this space in your life where you wanted to really become an advocate? Tell us a little bit more about what inspired you and what brought you to this work.
So I would say that I really, you know, I felt that I had to become an advocate for myself, growing up as a brown skin, Black young woman in a predominantly white space in school. So I really had to be an advocate for myself. An example of that was when I was in sixth grade, I was labeled as whole eye, physically or otherwise health impaired. This was during the 90s. And so I was mainstream half the day, and then other times I was in a special education classroom with my peers. And so, I really, as a great advocated for myself to be in mainstream the whole time, all of the day. So I say that really was an example of me advocating for myself. But when I came into the world of disability was when I ran for Miss Wheelchair Michigan, 2006. That really changed my whole world, and it opened up a whole new, world and opportunities, seeing so many, women with physical disabilities from across the country. And so that really is what launched me into the world of disability advocacy.
That's amazing, and congratulations on having had that honor. As you went along the way, did you have any particular people who inspired you or mentored you to really move into this area of disability advocacy?
Yes, it's particularly when I became Miss Wheelchair Michigan. That's when I met other, women in wheelchairs as well, Black women in particular who became my mentors. And, personally, in my personal life, I was young at the time, I was 21. And so, seeing older, Black women in wheelchairs really empowered me both professionally and personally to show me what the possibilities.
Wonderful. I'm a big believer in mentorship. I think everybody needs mentors in their life, maybe multiple mentors across their life, and everybody should become a mentor. And I love the work that you're doing of really looking backwards to say I was once that young Black woman with disabilities who really needed somebody to help lift up my voice, and now you're starting to do it for others. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your film work. I know you're really big on storytelling and using film to teach and inspire others to join the disability justice movement. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Share a little bit about your past film work and what projects you're working on now.
Yes, and so I got to the film world. I actually have a bachelor's degree in journalism, and so it was specialized in broadcasting. So I already had the familiarity of video production and producing. Then it was for TV news, but around 2010 there was a film incentives that came in Michigan. So that's all the major, film production companies and studios start coming to Michigan. And so I got onto different, I was a production assistant on different student film projects, and also did a TV show called The Wannabes. I was an office production assistant on that. And then from there, I did a 48-hour film festival. I wrote and co-directed and produced a short film called Justifiable Homicide, which talked about the dangers of racial profiling. And so that actually received an award. And then I really wanted to create a documentary that really gave a voice to, Black girls such as myself and my younger siblings, younger sisters. So I produced My Girl Story, which followed the stories of two African American girls from Detroit, fighting to be the young women they want to become. And one of the girls actually have a disability, it's kind of bifida. And that's been screened at different film festivals and things of that nature. So it's really my point in all the things I do related to film is to really tell stories of underrepresented communities. We begin to see a little bit of that now into film. That's kind of the go-to thing. So I heard, from people in the film industry looking for diverse stories. I think it's so important because we need representation in the media. People need a reflection of themselves and their stories matter. And so that's why, alongside my disability advocacy, I think it's so important to create representation and tell stories.
You for sharing that. Wow, we have something in common. I majored in journalism myself back in college, and often think about that, these connections, with all of our media and social media that we have today. It's really opened up so many great opportunities, whether you studied that in school or not, but we can all kind of get on media now, right? All you need is your cell phone to produce your own little video on Instagram or TikTok. I just think it's amazing, and it's really given these opportunities for so many diverse individuals to really get involved in sharing more about their advocacy, what matters to them, and to have all of these different ways that they can do that. What advice or suggestions do you have to help other people think about what modes should they be using? How can they, maybe they don't have funding or backing to become a major filmmaker, but can still get their voices out there? What do you think is the best way to encourage people from diverse communities to get out there and be seen?
Yeah, so like what you said is so easy, it's so accessible right now, through Zoom or, through Google Meet or, there's so many ways, with social media and YouTube and Instagram. So all you really need is just, like a Zoom account or, even if you use a 40-minute Zoom account, because most um, well, I would say some stories like on social media, people like to see like bite size. So maybe, just a few minutes interviewing somebody or, just doing they call it vlog. So like a blog, but a video, you know, logging, just, you telling your story. There's so many ways that you can do that. So, and your voice matters, your story matters. So I just definitely encourage people to, use whatever means that you have, whether, like I said, the laptop or, cell phone, and just get in, go on social media and tell your story of what, you go through.
That's great advice. I'm wondering, for so many of us, it's never a straight path to get from one place to another, right? It's a crooked path. And sometimes we're really successful in things we try, sometimes maybe not so much. Sometimes funny or interesting things happen along the way that maybe kind of change our direction a little or open up new opportunities. What was your path like? Did you have any times where you had to maybe pivot or start over, or things just weren't going so well and you had to kind of take that moment back and rethink things, or was it a straight and steady path for you?
Um, I would say that it was kind of like a cricket line or had setbacks, particularly with film. Because, when you do like what, like being a film producer or particularly film producer, like my role is to like oversee the whole stages of the film. So that's development, pre-production, production, post-production, and distribution. And so, it takes a lot of persistence to do that because you're working with, a team of people. And it is, and I give you like one quick example of a setback that I had to overcome real quick, that when I was shooting Justifiable Homicide. And so I asked a friend of mine to shoot it for me. And so I thought we had a great relationship, but then when it actually came to the actual time to do the film, he there were sides of the wall that was already in trouble because like within the first few minutes, he got into an argument with one of the main actors in the store. So that was one warning that I was like, okay, this might not be so good. In the midst of filming, he just left and took off with all the footage.
Oh,
And
no.
and so I kept calling him. And so it took a week to call him to get a hold to him. I'm like, what's going on? Why'd you take my footage? He said, no, that's my footage. I said, no, this is my story. And so we got into a whole argument and he deleted everything. And so I had to redo, find a new director so those are like examples. And I know different filmmakers have those stories as well, where you work with a team of people and people sometimes go rogue on you. And so you have to restart all over again. So it's satisfying when you see the film and people enjoy it, but the road to it, it can be really rough.
Oh, what a crazy story. Yeah, I guess you just never quite know what's going to happen. But
Yeah.
look, I'm sure it made you stronger and made you think differently along the way about, who you're hiring, who you're working with, how you have maybe, spare kind of things, making sure that you can quickly turn if things go south and you've got to change your direction. So good for you. Tameka, I started off at the beginning of this, saying it's DD Awareness Month, DDAM, and today, of course, is also International Women's Day. You are both a person with a disability and, of course, a woman and a woman of color. What does the intersection of these two important things today mean to you?
It means a lot. I'm glad that, we have a day in a month to first, recognize and to, celebrate women and then also, people who have developmental disabilities because, this is an opportunity to tell, our stories and uplift our voice, uplift, people. I think that is, again, very important to do. So, so I think it's really great to have these two, a month in a particular day to celebrate different kinds of people.
Yeah, thanks for that. What advice do you have for other people with disabilities, in particular, maybe for women, women of color who, like you, are really working so hard to get their voices heard, whether it's through media, social media, filmmaking, storytelling, advocacy work? What advice do you have for them? I know sometimes it's hard to keep going, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is. And so my advice would be, just number one, be persistent, be determined, because it does take, take those two things, to really accomplish your goals because you will have, setbacks. You will have people that will, question your abilities. I had that a lot, especially in high school. So I really had to have, faith in myself and also, my faith in God that I can do, everything that I have in my heart to do. So, just like I said, to say the same thing, just be persistent, be determined, have faith, believe, um, and also know that your story matters. You have the right to, access things as everyone else does because society will make you believe that you're not, able to do it, or you don't deserve it, or you're not good enough. But I say that you are. So just go after it.
Beautiful words. Thank you so much for sharing those. So what's next for Tameka? What should we be looking? Where should we be looking to see your name next?
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm really excited to share a little bit on my Facebook, but I just recently received a job at Michigan Disability Rights Coalition. And so with that opportunity, I'm able to take my advocacy to the next level throughout the state. And so I will be developing leadership development opportunities for BIPOC and young adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities. And so really excited about that. And also on my film side, I'm looking to for more opportunities to show my girl story this year, and also have other things in development that seems like it's really going to work out as well. So definitely, excited. So people can find me on Facebook at Tameka Citchen-Spruce. Also, my girl story documentary .com. You can check out my film there, and also check out Michigan Disability Rights Coalition as well to see everything that we're doing there.
That's fantastic, Tameka. Thank you. And congratulations on your new role with Disability Rights Michigan. They're very lucky to have you. And as I mentioned at the beginning of our talk, I know you've done some work with the Michigan Developmental Disabilities Council, and that you and I initially met with the help of Vandella Collins, the executive director there, connecting us. How can people follow you? I know you're probably all over social media. What platforms are you currently on where people can connect to you?
Yeah, so I would say on Facebook and LinkedIn. That's the only two I really have time and can do right now. So that's where you can find me.
Facebook and LinkedIn, great ways to connect. So wonderful. Any last words of wisdom for our audience today, Tameka?
Yeah, just would like to thank you, for the opportunity to share a little bit about my projects, and also, yes, major shout out to Vandella. I love the Michigan Developmental Disability Council, great folks over there. Just encourage all of you out there just to continue to, fight for your dreams and don't let anything stop.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I really want to thank you, Tameka, for joining us today and for being part of our DD Awareness Month celebration, for really giving us this opportunity to lift your voice up, for showcasing the beautiful work that you are doing in your field of choice, and for combining, both your passion for filmmaking and storytelling, and of course your background in journalism to really get out there on your platform. But thank you also for the advocacy work you are doing around housing and voting. I think many of you know this is another big voting year. It feels almost like every year is a big voting year. But with midterm elections coming up this fall, and many contentious races in the states where we know that there's a lot of bills on the state docket that are keeping people with disabilities and keeping people of color away from the polls. We will turn to you, Tameka, for leading us in our collective advocacy to make sure that the polls are open to all, and all means all. So thank you for, in this difficult year to come, for all of the advocacy work that you are doing. I want to thank everybody today for coming and joining us for this opportunity to have this chat during DDAM and International Women's Day with Tameka Citchen-Spruce. Please follow her, follow us at NACDD and hashtag DDAM 2022. Happy DDAM, everybody, and thanks for being with us.